All right. Welcome, everybody, to the audit. Planning and economic development. We need to get started here. I don't, you guys want to go over what you need to do as far as FTEs and that part? Okay.
Yeah, so we have actually a reduction of about 0.14 FTEs from 8.63 in 2024 to 8.49 in the tentative 2025 budget, and we do not have any vacancies at this point.
Okay, what's the, why is there a decrease? I'm just curious to know why there's.
Yeah, we had one of our staff was part county, part IDA,
Okay.
Rose Strandberg, actually.
Okay.
And it was sort of so that I had a connection. She was sort of helping me do, pay attention to stuff and all that. But Barb Molnar is doing that, who works
Okay.
for us.
Okay.
And yeah, we just don't need that anymore, so.
Okay. Thanks. That's a good explanation. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
So, what would you guys like to start? You want to start with the summary? You want to go right into the meat of it here?
I mean, we can start with a summary if you want.
Sure.
In the budget binders, that you're seeing, obviously, it is showing a 6.2% increase year to year. Now there is some expenses, I think that Kitty had mentioned earlier this week, there's a planned use of the occupancy tax, which isn't included in the budget, but the expenses
Okay.
from earlier in the week.
Yeah, just to add on to that, so the use of the occupancy tax reserve is included in the local share spreadsheet, which is under the operating budget tab in the front of the book.
Okay.
So it doesn't get reflected in the individual department, but it is, any reserves or uses of fund balance are on the local share spreadsheet.
Okay.
Also, too, just to that point, the exhibit for the uses of occupancy tax are included as a exhibit in the front of the book.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, generally speaking, when you look at this page, what you'll see is, basically we have, and we'll go through this, but some obviously changes in our 0.4s and 0.1s, some increases
Mhm.
out of our control. We do have some 0.8s increases, which are really, having to do with, 0.1s and 0.8s are the benefits out of our control. The 0.4s, we do have some increases, like we want to put a little more money in for travel and training and that kind of thing, because we want to keep our employees engaged and, for our retention program.
Mhm.
We are asking for an additional $50,000 for the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
As I see Dan Heitzenreiter turn the corner here, which has not been in our budget in the past. And that's really it. I mean, we've always, I've been here since 2008, and, planning and economic development, we've always been a team player, always kind of worked under an austerity budget, just what we need. We do a lot of mandated things, and I could go through those, but I won't. And, we're a very small portion of the county's total budget. We're doing the same
Mhm.
this year as we've been doing in the years past.
Okay. Thanks for that. Do you want to get into the, yes?
Planning and development,
Yeah.
overall, so are we on the same page here?
We're
Okay.
right there, and actually, it's a very small kind of increase to the 0.1s and 8s, obviously, that is. Contractual increases, as he mentioned, outside of his control, and then really the increases were some increased travel and contractual expenses. One of the goals that, as I've done budgets with a lot of departments this year, is to get back out traveling and get conferences, networking, and just get people training and kind of return to the normal operations of what we would have done probably pre-pandemic, so.
Okay.
So that is kind of what you're seeing in this department.
Okay. Don't see any issues. I'm into the back of it now, I guess, section 37. It's our book.
Is that here, economic development? Is that where we're at?
Planning, development, yeah.
Oh, planning and development,
Yeah.
okay.
Planning
Yeah.
and development, I'm sorry.
Planning and development, so again, that contractual, that 0.4, you see that $120,000 increase. That includes the additional 50,000 for the chamber, and then a small bump to the other community contracts that we have. And I'll talk about those later, but those include like the Cornell Cooperative Extension, Soil and Water, the Small Business Development Center, the libraries, the Chautauqua County Fair, the IDA. You know, there was years, we went something like 8 years without any bump, any increase. And occasionally we'd get somebody coming back and saying, hey, we need a bump, we need a chunk. So instead of dealing with that, we thought if we just give them each a little bump every year incrementally, we could maybe,
That makes sense, so.
yeah.
You know, you did say 50,000 to the chamber.
Mhm.
In the past, did we ever do anything with the chamber
No.
before? No. What is the justification or the reason for that, I guess, is what I need to,
Yeah, and I have Dan Heizenreiter's here, and we can ask him to come up. But I do have some talking points here, so I will talk about that someplace. I got this right here. So, the chamber actually came to us with a formal letter, through a formal letter, and requested $75,000 annually.
okay,
We said, you know, we'll try 50. You know, in other communities, there's very few that aren't receiving some kind of funding from the county. So they're sort of an anomaly right now that they aren't. And they, obviously, they play a critical role in our community with our small businesses. They were exceptional during the pandemic, supporting not only the local businesses, but, you know, turning people to buy local. Dan Heizenreiter, who's been with the chamber for a couple of years now, he's everywhere, right? And he's involved in a lot of different economic development and business initiatives. He's been a part of our Partnership for Economic Growth. He's a co-chair of that, so he's really involved. They've got a new presence, as we all know, in downtown Jamestown on 3rd Street. And what I really like, one of the, you know, besides what they typically do with their businesses and networking and that kind of thing, is the ribbon cuttings and the workshops, and really celebrating our county and celebrating new business startups. And, you know, and they've done a new strategic plan that's really exciting. They have a relentless focus on their mission. And, you know, I just feel like for those reasons and many more, I think they're worthy of receiving some county funding.
I do too. I only ask the question because I don't know if anyone knows what they do or how they do in the county. I know Dan personally and what he's been able to do since he's been in that position, and it's I think it's great.
Yeah.
So 50,000 is decent enough, and it's certainly worth it. I'm just curious to know, Dan would probably know, how many ribbon cuttings did we do in a calendar year this year? Is Dan there? Dan, can you come down here?
Tom wanted to know how many ribbon cuttings approximately that you guys did this year.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself first.
Sure, yeah. Dan Heizenreiter, President and CEO of the CHQ Chamber. And the prior year, we did 75 total ribbon cuttings across Chautauqua County. This year, I don't have the latest tally, but I know we've been on pace to actually beat that figure from last year, and that was even a market increase from the year before. The ribbon cuttings are something we offer free. Any business in the county that has a reason to do a ribbon cutting, ownership change, they move, renovations, a new business, et cetera. So we're really happy with the amount of traction.
I think it's great to see. You know, it's progress, and it's always continuing. So I want to thank you for that, Dan.
Thank you.
Mark yourself as well. So thanks for that. Okay, I'm looking at the account A6420. Do we want to go into that or get into that?
Yeah, that's actually the one I thought we were going right down the tab. and
Yeah,
the-
yeah, I'm sorry.
the
So-
binders are different. So yeah, this was the one I was just speaking about, with really the increases in this
In
department
this
are the
department.
contractual, CSCA or manager increases. The benefits, as you mentioned, are kind of outside of our control. And there are minor increases, as I mentioned, increased travel and et cetera, to get back out training in the community. So there is some added expense to that, and that is something I kind of did get from most of the departments I worked with on
Okay.
budgets this year.
Great. Does anyone have any questions, committee? I don't think so far, okay, great.
Go ahead, Dan.
Sure, so in the item.
Get your
detail-
microphone down.
Pardon?
Get
Pull your microphone down.
Wasn't that important of a question. In the line item detail, page 4 or 7, on the top are those community contract awards.
Yep,
Yes.
So, obviously, I see the new 50,000 in for the chamber. Looking at some of those, you know, they jump around from year to year. Like the one right above
yeah.
it, the contractual fund for agriculture.
Yeah.
That was
And
taken
I
up.
asked
Yeah.
Sam to go through all of those because they jump around, so he's
Yeah.
gonna explain all of those to us.
Okay, good.
And we can do it now if we'd like. So that first line you were just talking about agricultural.
No, there's one above that.
That's the first one, I think, is the agriculture.
Oh, the consulting management services,
Okay.
Yes.
when the department planned the budget, there was a plan for 0 for that year for the tentative 2025 budget.
Okay, but that's a reduction from previous years.
The next line is
Oh.
the agricultural line.
But why did that one go to 0? Consulting management services was previously expensed, and now it's at 0.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
community contracts, consulting.
'Cause this is what Nate provides for the budget. We may have to get you some feedback, because Nate assisted us on the budget and couldn't be here for that.
This is
Okay.
all I have.
I mean, bottom line is, we had a lot of these combined, sort of, they're all combined, and now we've broken them all out for individual contracts.
But this looks like this was a consulting management agreement that we had that we are not planning on having next year.
In 22, you didn't have it, and then you had it in 23 and 24, but now you're back to not having it, so.
I'll look and see if I have it anywhere in my notes here. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
But we will get back to you with that.
Okay.
I should be able to get by tomorrow. I'll
Yeah.
get that to you.
Move on.
So
Okay.
the next one was the agricultural line, which looks like it has a bigger reduction, but that was a separation of that amount, because there is a new account that is listed, the soil account. There was gonna be 2 contracts. They asked as we prepared the budget if they could separate that for their ease of processing. I did not oppose that, so that's why that's separated. It is a slight difference from the prior year.
So that's Cornell, right?
And soil and water, so what I'm assuming is 6420 soil used to be in part of the.
Yeah, that's
the-
absolutely
the-
correct.
To the top, the top.
Yep, that is
Okay.
absolutely correct. This
Is-
is where the chamber contract also is one of the GLs under there as well. That's coming up here. Next, the Chamber of Commerce, obviously, the 50,000 we were just discussing with Dan is there. And then there's a minor change in what was budgeting for the cultural line of
Thanks for
a
this.
reduction of just under $3,500.
Yep.
And then the manufacturing one was also reduced basically, or increased, excuse me, by 65,000. I used it wrong.
And what does that one entail, Mark?
You know what, no, I don't know, like, I don't have that level of detail. All I know is that all of the contracts that we have stayed the same except for a 3% increase. And with the addition of the chamber at 50. Nothing else has changed. So I don't know what all this stuff is
It's the
here.
separation of the one account and then adding the chamber and then there were some changes that,
So,
smaller ones that when they gave me or when I worked on the budget.
so let me just, Cornell Cooperative Extension was 345,000 and some change last year. This year, they're 355, 3% increase. Soil and Water was 144,000 and some change. This year, the 149,000 and some change. The Chautauqua County Fair was 6,800 last year. This year, it's a little over 7,000. The library system was 111,000 last year. This year, it's 114 and some change. JCC Small Business Development Center was 54 and some change. This year, they're 56 and some change. The IDA was 161 and some change. And this year, they're 165 and some change.
Okay, so that's the IDA funding,
The
Yeah.
65.
that manufacturing line.
Yeah.
You just answered that
Okay,
question. Okay.
so, and then of course, the only other one that we have is the $50,000 of small business promotion.
So it's up by 74,000, of which 50 of it is Dan.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
So the only question remaining is that consulting management services that went away, what was that? And you
Okay,
can get that to us, Sam.
Yeah, I'll have
Okay.
that to you tomorrow morning.
Great.
Thanks, Sam.
what's that?
Oh, that was the sheet I need.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just throw all the cards up in the air and change everything and make it look confusing.
Well, the
I've
goal
never
is to make it easier next year.
I don't know,
That's what they always say,
I know,
Sam.
we always do.
Soil and water is getting less than what you stated, though. Some of them there was some variances. You said 148.
No, they're going from 144 to 149.
And our sheet says 132, 612.
Right, that's correct, Dan.
And so that's, I'm just, that's where we still have some variances there. If, I'm just
That would have
curious.
been, because it was just separated, so
I
let me
get
just
it.
I'll double check before the morning if there's gotta be a change between, because the dollar amount should be the same. Maybe there was an error in the formula separating them.
So, I think that if you could just give a peruse, because all the numbers Mark read, they didn't all jive with what was on our sheets either, so. Just make sure the formula's right and
Yeah.
the lines. At the end of the day, I think you can make the adjustments even throughout the year, but it'd be nice to,
No, it'd be,
now's the
it'll
time
be
to do
tomorrow.
it.
Now's the
so,
time to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
That makes the department go, all of a sudden they get their budget back and they go, geez, we didn't get it. I thought you said we were giving a 3% increase and now you were proposing a
Right.
12% decrease, so. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. So we're at, anything else on economic development?
Anybody on the committee? Nope. We can move on.
Plan.
Planning.
Okay. Planning. So we've got the point ones and the point eights are benefits, contractual things that we can't control, health insurance, et cetera. And then we have in the point fours, we have a minor increase, or an increase, I should say, for mileage, training, conferences. The staff has been going around meeting with every single municipality, getting to know them. So there's been a lot more travel involved in what they do, so we've got about a $13,000 bump there.
Mark, I don't want to interrupt you, but I do have to say that having them travel around to the municipalities has been very helpful. I think they've learned a lot, and I think the municipalities have learned a lot and gained a connection between the county and those municipalities. So it's been noticed.
I agree. I've been on a couple, but I wish I could go on more. Just, they're really getting to know the people. They're really digging into what are some of the issues, what are some of the challenges, what are you working on, how can we assist you? So, yeah, I
The
think it's
delivery of
great.
information has been excellent, especially when it comes to like the homesteading rules and all of those different things that they need to participate in, and they just didn't understand at the level in which the importance was to their constituents. So that's been a big one.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions, more questions from planning?
Nope.
From the audit, you guys satisfied? No? don't have any other, a lot of questions on it, other than, what was the one I marked over there?
Oh, you have the data.
Yeah, I have the data sheet. That's all I have. I guess I have no.
There's no significant changes.
Do you see any changes? Say,
No,
or not?
nothing.
No.
I mean, training and registration, but you already hit on that. That's gone up the most.
You know, I think it's, and I said it before, but for the retention, I mean, we really want, we have a lot of young people on our staff, and we want to keep them. We're competing against the private sector where they could go out and make probably 40–50% more than they're making for the county. So we want to do everything that we can to keep them engaged, excited about what they're doing, communicating with their peers, learning the best practices, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important, and I push them. Go to the APA, the American Planning Association Conference in Buffalo. You know, go to that stuff. You need to. So that, just a little bump more so that we can continue to do that.
Training teacher, we'll see. I don't think I have anything more on planning, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty straightforward.
The next,
Watershed.
where you?
Watershed.
Watershed.
Yep.
This sheet doesn't have it either, so. My book is an absolute mess. There's no tabs, everything's missing. It's okay. We'll try to get through it. We're in watershed.
Watershed right here.
We discussed watershed.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Dave.
I do have one of my three lieutenants here, and that's Dave. So, Dave, why don't you sort of talk through your budget here?
Sure enough, you know, we're set to do all of what we did last year, plus a little bit more with a minor increase in revenues. We deliver 8 projects across watershed and the in-lake. Our agency allocations remain substantially the same. And we're taking on some other interesting things like the $3 million federally funded Army Corps aquatic environmental restoration of Chautauqua Lake. We're running out the rest of our ARPA projects. We recently closed out some. We're probably going to close out some more towards the end of the year. So looking forward to a good year.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about the maintenance, the Chautauqua Lake Maintenance Fund,
Sure enough.
and what line, you know?
Last year, the county executive amended this budget for $500,000 for a lake maintenance fund to be used in any of the lakes across the county. Approximately $150K was used. We're going to try to replenish that $150K, and keep that level at $500,000.
So we're gonna accrue what wasn't spent, basically, not accrue, but we're just, that moves over instead of another 500, obviously, we're just gonna put 150 in, so it's still 500.
Yeah, what we would be doing is returning that, basically that balance of 350,000 to the fund balance, and then we would be coming to the legislature sometime early in '25 to get that back out to
Okay.
make that 500,000.
That makes sense.
So, it looks like our agency allocation of 3,000 to Bear Lake is gone. Our agency allocation of 6,000 to Cassadaga Lake is gone. Our agency allocation of 10,000 to Findlay Lake is gone. And our agency allocation of 40,000 to Lake Erie is gone.
It's not.
It's not.
It's just the-
What are you talking about, the Lake Erie
Yes.
Management Commission? Yeah, we are asking for an additional 5,000 for that for this year. It's largely to help offset the costs of,
No.
This shows
No.
0
So-
for LEMC.
So what he's saying is it's showing that there's no money in there for Bear Lake, maintenance, Casadega Lake, Finley Lake, or,
And Lake Erie, LEMC. $0 in the budget.
yeah,
Well, there's obviously something wonky there.
yep, so I don't know.
Now, did those get all pulled up, Sam, into other contractual, which has gone up by 75,000?
What do they add up to? 3, 6,
59.
18.
Let's see, there was another thing in it.
You wanna look out for the little lakes.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's, believe me, there's something wonky someplace here.
You look at all these little festivals around every one of those small lakes, Bear Lake, that's not Bear Lake,
So
Cascade
three-
Lake.
Yeah, Casadega Lake has been booming.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, we think that they all got pulled up into other contractual.
Just so, Sam, if you can confirm that,
Yeah, I'll confirm that.
Yep.
I'm 99.9% sure that's what happened.
it makes sense.
It's about the same amount
Yep,
that it increased
it makes
by.
sense. Just want to confirm that
Yep.
they didn't get left out.
Are you gonna put them back where they were in that instance? Just so,
We should do that, yeah.
okay.
What's the chance of bumping them?
Did we bump the,
1,000 or
did we bump Casadega Lake and,
No.
and Finley Lake and all those? We
No.
kept them at the same
They're
rate?
all the same with the exception of the LAMC, which is going up by 5K.
Okay.
David, how long has Casadega, Bear, and Finley Lake been at the same levels they are today?
Could you hear that?
What?
How long is how long have Finley, Bear, Casadega been at the level they are now? When's the last time they got an increase?
A year ago.
Yep.
Yeah, they were increased in the 2024 budget.
And we haven't, I don't think we've heard much from those saying, we need a lot.
No.
You know, there hasn't been that kind of thing, so we did give them a bump,
I was thinking it was 22, but.
yeah.
If you look at if you look on page 3, John, in the detail, they've jumped around, so it was 3, 6, 45, you know, and it's bounced a little, so.
So you could also refer in the front of the book under the operating budget tab, the last 2 pages are the occupancy tax schedule, so it does provide a layer of detail that's not indicated on the other accounts. So you can see, if you all wanna flip to that, it's in the very beginning of the book under operating. And the last couple of pages in that section. is
Oh,
the-
gotcha, right there,
And-
top of 3 of 3.
And then it shows you the year-over-year, changes.
So Finley's getting 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Casadega 6,
But it did-
Bear
there's nothing
3,
there for Lake Erie. Oh, and like it did
and
also-
LEMC
it's in Lake Erie.
was at 40, but now it's gonna get 45. Maybe you could explain that.
Yeah, when this got entered in, I do apologize. When we entered it, we didn't realize it was a separate GL, so we took it all into that 4590 as a whole instead of separating it by the lake, so that's our error. I do apologize for that.
But it's there.
It's there.
Yeah, it's in the wrong account, so we could kind of walk that back as we do the resolution for the merit accounts.
Okay.
Because again, just also to note, this exhibit for the occupancy tax also breaks it down into the different categories to align with the legislation. So it's easy to see that we're complying with the legislation of how the money is to be spent.
Half of the 3% to the CCVB, and half of the 2% in lake, half of the 2% out of lake. whatever, after admin.
This is really pissing me off.
And we can go back to we were looking at different forms, so I can answer
Okay.
the comment question now. My notes were a little different than the format that they had, but I'm just going through what he was reading off to the GLs. It makes a little bit more sense if we want to go back to that part.
Which part?
The common contracts.
Okay.
So again, the one answer would have to be the contractual consulting management question, which I will have to get back to you on.
Yep.
But just reading it down the way it went and just matching up what's on the GL to what he was reading off earlier. So the first one, the agricultural, is in what we were reading at the 355, basically 749. The next line down is the 7,041, which would be for the Chautauqua County Fair. The 50,000 is then for the small business promotion that we talked about. The 114,895, that's the Chautauqua County Cattaraugus Library System. Then the 57,890. I believe that is the Jamestown Community College. And then the 165 is the IDA, and then you get down to the separation of that original agricultural, which was the combined one that we separated and made things a little bit more confusing this year. So looking at matching up it's just, we were looking at two different things, so I do apologize for that, but what he was reading off is actually in the budget for next year. The question would be on the consulting management service.
Great, thank you.
Do we have any other questions, committee? For watershed, that's what we're looking at next year. Planning and development.
This is summer.
Yeah.
That's the summer. Yep, we're good.
We're all set? I guess I don't, I'm lost here right now, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
So the overall budget increase is
Yeah, somewhere. 11,046. Should we satisfied with that? Audit, do you have any questions? I don't either. What do we have next? I'm sorry. Is that everything? That's everything. Sorry. Not with it today, folks. Sorry. I gotta apologize. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Again,
Thank you with those couple of,
Yeah.
one lingering,
Okay, for
I might figure it out in the next 5 minutes.
I have I just don't want to speak wrong, so.
No,
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, he never responded. He never responded. Text message.
Thanks, Sam.
You gonna make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
No, we just second. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.